Frank Kruger, you own an iPad Pro, correct?
Yeah, I do. Is it still a Pro if it's from a few years ago? Yeah, I do. I'm Pro, man.
In the name, it's like it's an iPad Pro. Just my MacBook
It
Pro
gives me
is from.
Pro. Is it an
It doesn't
iPad
mean that.
for pros, or does it make you a pro?
No, not you're definitely not a pro. Not none of these things.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's if you are a pro, you are now can be more pro. But if you're not a pro, this doesn't just make you a pro.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless I'm part of the new generation growing up with iPads, in which all my pro software happens on iPads. I was informed today. This is what the new generation is doing.
Oh, okay.
Yes, James.
I mean, you got the iPad Pro. I'm interested in. I'm intrigued how you use your iPad Pro.
I think the iPad is a wonderful device for pro users. I tend to use mine mostly for Twitter and browsing the web and playing with iCircuit and things like that. It's funny, the Pro on the iPad, I keep dwelling on it because I still find it a little bit funny because Pro software is tricky on the iPad because we've talked about the limitations of the OS constantly and over and over. And with all their multitasking, with all their springboarding, I mostly still browse the web, do Twitter, and shop Amazon, sadly. They really should take the Amazon app off of all iPads. That would be helpful to humanity.
I guess the question is, to your point right there, before we get into the Apple event, is you said pro apps, right? What makes a pro app? Like all apps run on the iPad Pro, right? What makes a pro app, in your opinion, Frank Kruger?
It's the constant thing. Is it a creation app or a consumption app? In my mind, it's really quite that simple. The iPad being a vaguely thin and now very thin screen is a wonderful consumption device. You play all your videos. Your videos are bigger than they would be on your phone because your phone is small. They're smaller than they would be on your Vision Pro, but Vision Pros cost seven iPads, I believe, is roughly the price of a
17,
Vision Pro.
17 iPads. Well, it depends on which iPad. iPad 10th gen, 18 iPads.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so a pro device to me is one where you can use it like the original computer was intended to create stuff. Do your word processing, take your notes, create circuits. It's a little sad that that's what the word pro has become, but for me, it really just means that you are creating content, not just consuming.
Got it. I have an iPad, but it is a old iPad. I don't even think it gets iOS 17. It's that old. And it's on my bicycle, and it's a good consumption. Heather has the iPad mini, which they didn't talk about. Shame on you, Apple.
Got one phrase, the mighty iPad mini, I believe Mr. Tim Cook said.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that completely.
They didn't even show it, though. He was going through the whole iPad lineup, showing them. Didn't even get a picture. Little mini didn't even get a picture. A little bit of bias there, Apple showing through.
I cannot believe that, and it's a good device. I like it for travel, the little iPad. I actually think an iPad Pro mini would be pretty.
Yeah, no
iPad
kidding.
Mini Pro. That'd be so cute. The 10th gen. So let's start there. So let's start at the consumption device, and then let's reverse this. We're gonna Tarantino this event. Let's start at the iPad 10th generation. So cute. Okay, here's what I love about the iPad. This is the entry level iPad, $349, delectable.
Amazing.
Now, amazing.
Colorful. It's a
like
great
the yellow.
device for $349. Guess what? 95% of what you're going to do on the Pro, you can do on that $349 model. So if you know someone who needs an iPad, that is a great place to start.
Entry level, 64 gigs, and then it goes up to 256.
Okay, that's painful. Oh, God, Apple, jeez, still cheap on the memory. I mean, we did a whole episode about me complaining about them being cheap on RAM, so we can at least talk a few minutes about them being cheap on the gigabytes of storage.
They They
we're going to really Tarantino it and flash forward to a flashback in the episode. They've announced the 2 terabyte version of the Pro. And so it's so funny to see like the 64 GB and a 2 terabyte. I'm like, oh, that's literally an order of magnitude off.
I mean, that being said, if you were buying this device for a parent, or you were buying it for a kid, or just on your bike or something like that, like a stationary bike, 64 GB is good. The problem is the jump from 64 gigabytes to 256 gigabytes is $150. So it goes from $350, great price, to $500, which again, good price. But I'm just saying, you might as well just then jump to the Air, I guess, at that point, because the entry level Air,
$50 off. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, entry level Air now is, okay, I'm going to look it up. Order now, $100 more. $100 more, but you get, man, Apple. Oh, purple, like purple Starlight. You get 128, so you're getting in the middle, but you get the M chips. It's. I just feel like there's trade offs everywhere we're going in this thing, and it upsets me. But that being said, it's a device. It's out there. New price, $350. Good. It's got the landscape port. It's got the landscape camera. Everything's got the landscape camera. They're all landscape camera.
Except mine. I still have the old Pros. So it hurts every time he says it, because I got the last generation where the camera's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
No one holds these things in portrait mode. You hold it in portrait mode when you're walking between rooms or something. You don't hold it in portrait mode that often. And the camera's always been in the wrong place. So I'm glad they're improving that. Yeah, I guess you're right. Once you start looking at the upgrades, the borders between these products become a little bit weird. I always found the Air moniker on the iPad to be a little weird. Like, the iPad has always been an Air device. It's always been light and Wi-Fi based and all of that. Like, I thought the product line was a little complex with iPad, iPad Air, iPad Pro, iPad Mini. I don't really know why they have the Air distinction, other than they just need to call it something and make it sound. I don't know. It was the first time also I noticed in the Apple presentation where they said the Air is where we always take Pro features and then sell them to you at a cheaper price a few years later. Mm-hmm. Have they ever actually said that? Because that's what I've considered always the iPad product. The Air to me always seemed like a semi-premium device. I mean, obviously the Pro has been the premium device, but it was weird to hear the Air model downgraded to it's just the hand-me-downs from the Pros from last year.
I feel as though that's like the unsaid rule of a lot of Apple products, right? Like the iPhone, the next year gets the chip of the Pro and then some of the Pro features. I don't think they've ever said it. You're right. And what's fascinating in this one is that they actually trickled down a few other features as well, like the Pencil Pro and a few other features there too. The fascinating part about this Air model, and they did this, did they do this with the MacBook too? They might have, is that the iPad Air is heavier than the iPad Pro.
Okay, well, that just stinks.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that'll be the case this year. They were quite proud of the Pros this year, but yeah,
that's what I'm saying is the new iPad Air is heavier than the new iPad Pro. It's heavier.
Oh, yeah.
It's heavier. The iPad
Pros
lighter.
Don't have big muscles. Pros have small muscles. They need lighter devices. Pros are busy typing. No time for the gym.
Okay, so
is that the logic?
The iPad Air is like the messy middle device, right? It's kind of like the MacBook Air, to be honest with you. It is. It doesn't have as good as cameras. It doesn't have the true depth camera. It doesn't have Thunderbolt. It's got the Touch ID. It's got the Face ID. It's got a few speakers. It's got this stuff. It's pretty much the device that I would buy because it's a cheaper entry price. I like the 11-inch. If I was just coming in, I'm not buying one of these devices. By the way, I don't like tablets at all. I'm just not a fan. I don't like as a personal device. I don't like Android tablets. I don't like iPads. I
Okay.
don't even like the Surface devices. I think they're beautiful Surface devices, but I'm not a fan of the tablet, the Pro. If I was getting
Okay.
the Surface Pro versus the Surface Laptop 4, Surface Laptop 4 all day. Love it. Got a similar
Yeah.
device, but then I'm a form factor type of guy. So I'm just not a tablet person. I have one
Mm-hmm.
because I just have one from my development days. I got to have one sitting around. It's a good consumption device on the road, but I could also just do it on my
Yeah.
phone. It's a little bit nicer, bigger for airplane stuff, but there's that. But I think that they only spent this much time on the iPad Air, so maybe we should spend that much time on the iPad Air. It's a nice colors,
Well,
smaller, lighter M2. What do you think, Frank? Is this your new? Is this faster than your Pro? What's in your Pro? The
oh,
M2?
it is. It is. It is because the Air is an M2 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I spent that whole episode complaining about Apple RAM amounts, praising the M1 Pro iPad I have. Yeah, I believe that's the model number. Because it is. It's we both really like the M1 processor. It's a good processor. I don't have personal experience with the 2, the 3, or now the 4, but I assume that they're 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times better than the M1, and the M1 being amazing makes those, 4 times as amazing. I assume. I it's tricky what they say because like they, it, I don't think it was Tim Cook, but someone said something like compared to the original A14 based iPad Pro, it's 3 times faster, 10 times faster. Sorry, everyone. Please look up these numbers. Who can remember Apple marketing?
1,000 times faster. Yeah.
1,000 times faster. It's a great chip. Like honestly, I could go buy the minimum iPad Air right now, and it would be better than my iPad Pro right now. So I actually do think it's a good device. And didn't they announce? Is this the first 13-inch iPad Air?
It is, yeah. So this is the first time the iPad Air is coming in. There's always just one flavor before. Yeah, now they have the 11-inch and the 13-inch, not to be confused with the previous 12.9-inch. Nope, we don't want that.
Right.
13 inches this time. We're going full 13 inches, keeping it simple. It's kind of funny. The iPad Pro did go through an evolution of 9.7, 10.5, 11, 12.9, and now 13.
Mm-hmm.
Very fascinating. Maybe the iPad mini, I bet it's just not selling. It's just like the iPhone mini, like that little great device.
It's a niche.
People just love huge devices. I don't know. I just don't know.
I'll say when I had the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, it was a great device, but it was too big. It was too big for like sitting on the couch. It felt like this huge weight on you. Even though for years I've had laptops, and I would have a 13-inch laptop sitting on my legs when I'm on the couch. But at the same time, just holding this 13-inch screen always felt a little bit big to me, and so I let my 12.9 go. That said, it is a distinguishing factor being that kind of bigger iPad. If you're doing photography and you want previews, you kind of want a huge iPad to look at your previews on. You almost want, because the phones have gotten so big, James, you want like the iPad, just the contrast, because you get an iPad mini and you get the biggest iPhone and you're like, huh, not too much of a difference between these two devices. So I think with the bezel becoming much smaller and everything, I am very tempted toward the 12, 9, and 13s. I think when I do finally buy another new iPad, it probably won't be this generation, but I probably will go for the big screen.
Nice. Yeah. I look at that even like on bikes and things like that. There's a lot of like stationary bikes that have different size screens, or when you're in a car, you have different size screens. It's sort of the same thing. There is a sweet spot in screen size. Like in my personal opinion, I think the Tesla screens are too big, but then also sometimes it is nice to have a little bit more data. I felt like I was in the Ion Iconic or whatever, which was a nice vehicle, but the screen was good, but then maybe could have been just different proportions. The proportions are also important as well, because if you have a bigger device, the aspect ratio is more like 16:9-ish, then it's gonna just feel a little bit different. So the 2:3 is like an important device. I always thought that I always really enjoyed the Surface products because of the 2x3. I just think it's a great proportion, just kind of like an iPad, right? It's more of a 2x3, less of a 16:9, which does mean that when you watch videos and you're consuming content, many more black bars, right? Unfortunate.
We're just never. Yeah. I mean,
you can't win.
I was watching. Oh gosh, what was I watching? Some modern movie, and they had to switch aspect ratio like every scene. It felt like the bars shifted with every scene, and usually I'm not sensitive to it. Like I don't notice the aspect ratio changing, stopping weird directors. But this time I noticed. I'm like, what is going on? The bars are all over the place. So like, I give up. You know what? Some directors shooting 4x3 now. What was that funny Snyder cut of the Batman movie done in black and white 4x3 just to trip you up for a little bit?
Gots to. Yeah, it anyways, I agree. It's very fascinating to see the evolution of aspect ratios and how the devices try to overcome them. Luckily, the 2x3 is like a little bit nicer. So iPad Air, good device, great thing. Let's talk about quantum OLED technology, and by quantum I mean they don't have just one OLED. They got two OLEDs in this thing. One wouldn't be good enough. Two.
I gotta say, this one I'm a little sensitive about. And the cat's chiming in. The cat's sensitive about it too. For years, okay, look, the phone has stagnated. The iPad has stagnated. They're good products. We all like them. We buy them, but they've been around for a while. All I've wanted is an iPhone with a screen on both sides. I don't need the camera. I'm over cameras. Life is boring. I don't need to photograph it. I just want a device that has screens on both sides. So there is no up, there is no down. I think it'd be beautiful. But then you have to have two displays, James. So what does Apple announce today? They're like, we are doing OLED on the iPad. And unlike all those giant OLED TVs that are plenty bright enough out there, one OLED is not good enough for us.
It's not, no. Not this. Our pro users would never forgive us.
No. 500 nits, not enough. 700 nits, get out of town. We need 1,000 nits, okay? 1,000 nits minimum. And to do that, we are literally going to put two OLED screens on top of each other, which I don't fully get how transparency works between them, but fine, Apple, fine. Put your two OLED screens on there to get 1,000 nits of standard definition, 1,500 in HD, and it's really hard to get your app into HD mode, and it drives the battery nuts, so don't bother. But cool, Apple, 1,000 nits. We're there, baby.
Yeah, I did think that was really unique. I do think it's unique that they did that, and at the same time made this the thinnest Apple device ever created, which it is extremely thin. I'm very, very impressed. I think it's thinner than I have one of those. If you're watching on our YouTube, youtube.com/@merchconflict.fm, I have a foldable keyboard. You've seen these before.
Ooh.
And I think it's thinner than this. I don't have a measuring tape with me, but I think folded it is at least about the same size or thinner, perhaps.
It's a nice keyboard, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
We all need Bluetooth keyboards with our Air devices and our Visions and things like that. Bluetooth keyboards.
Exactly.
Can be big.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So what? We've got a cool OLED screen, amazing. And then they slimmed it down, which is good because they are competing with laptops. I have the MacBook Air and I have an iPad, and when I put the keyboard on the iPad, they're about the same thickness. And so when I'm debating which one am I going to travel with, I take the computer because it has, used to have Visual Studio for Mac on it. Now it has Rider, but I can do all my development work on it. Whereas I can't fully do all that stuff, sadly, on the iPad right now. So the size really does matter. And this is the one time I think we all used to complain like we want battery life, not thinness. I think that was happening around the 2015s or 2016s. But I've come full back around to, I want thin. I want it to be light. I want it to be like a piece of paper. I want it to get lost in the shuffle of things. And so I really applaud this effort. we don't need an iPad that weighs as much as a laptop. That is not what it should be. The Pro, even though it's not a name, should be light as air. That's what it should be.
Totally. No, I agree. And so much so, that to be able to accomplish this, they decided to skip M3 and go straight to M4 and create a whole new chip for this puppy, which kind of gives us maybe some insight into what the screens and things will be in the MacBook Pro later on, because this new M4 processor, obviously 1 greater than 3, 2 times greater than M2, it actually has an entire display processing unit for these OLEDs, right? So to actually run these things, the M4 for power efficiency and thermals and all these other things has a special piece. Now, this is really the power of Apple hardware and silicon working together, right? They're able to design a specific part of the board and the chip and all the things for this device, right? I mean, that's really, really, really fascinating for them to do. But what it also means is that because they wanted to make it so thin, they went to a 2nd gen 3 nanometer chip that they can squeeze out the performance and also, tune up the thermal dynamics. They can tune up the power consumption on this thing, which to your point means that they somehow achieved super thinness and apparently super great battery life as well, and also being super powerful. So I will give them, hats off for this. And it makes sense. It seems like now I'm not sure how they're distinguishing between the M series of being is now the M4 chip that's going to be in the next MacBook Pro? Are we going to skip it, go to the M5, or is it going to still be this? And now they got to update the, screens or whatever. Or maybe they'll just go to the Pro Max models or whatever on the new MacBook Pros. But it's very, very interesting to see how they sort of went down this path. But it makes sense at the same time. Those chips, the M3s, launched with, the MacBook Pro. So now we have a special chip, special things for the iPad Pro.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I still find it a little odd that it's not some variant of the M3. Because, okay, Fred, you're a microprocessor designer, okay? You build these very big, complex logic circuits that a program then shoves down into the transistor level and lays them out into a cute little rectangular pattern so that you can go spend millions of dollars to have them fabricated onto silicon, and you get a chip out of it. Chips are fun. Everyone should go manufacture a chip someday. The manufacturing process is what we call the process technology. It dictates the size of the transistor, the thickness of all the wires that are going to be throughout it, the kind of etching processes that you use, which dictates what kind of materials you can use, which dictates everything else. It is really weird to me. I'm assuming that architecturally, logically, this M4 chip is basically an M3. It's got the same functional units. They were very clear to say it's just a new process technology. So it's really weird for me that they upped the entire processor version, M3 to M4, just for a change in the process technology. If that changed the size of the transistors, I would totally get it, but it sounds like the size is the same. It sounds like it's just a different process. I do really want to look into it because I find it fascinating from an engineering perspective that the process technology shift was big enough that they felt the need to fully rebrand this processor. Not call it an M3 Air or something like that, but to actually just call it full out an M4, which really just makes me think that they're abandoning the old process we're going to this process for everything else, because they said numbers that are honestly a bit crazy. They said if they ran it at the performance specs of the M2 that's currently in the iPad Air, that it ran 50% whatever more efficient, less power, running at those performance specs. It's only when it beats itself up to run 2 OLED screens that it needs all the power and everything. So anyway, I just want to say it's weird to me. It doesn't 100% make sense to me that we go from M3 to M4 just from a process change. But if the transistor size changed, if they had to relay things out, I guess it makes sense. And yeah, these things have always had GPUs on them, but now I guess they have to have an OLED driver. is this stuff like DRAM? Do you have to keep clocking the OLED pixels like, hey, you're still awake, keep displaying, stay awake, pixel? And they just have to do that to every pixel. I don't fully understand why you need on-chip driver for the screen, other than it's obviously cost efficient for them and very cool that they can just put it on the chip.
It's true. Yeah, I was assuming that it would just have the M3 or some variant of it. Like, I think it would be the M3S, because, they used to have the 4S, 5S, blah, 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 right? It's kind of like the jump in between, or X or whatever, Bionic, what they would do. I'm really surprised they did that, just because here's the rub. Now, only this iPad Pro has the most powerful chip. I mean, probably, okay, the M3 Pro, M3 Max are probably more powerful than this, but I just like, let's say you just bought a MacBook Air, right? You got the M3. You're like, oh, this is great, amazing. Now there's this device that's cheaper, by the way, than my MacBook Air. Granted, it doesn't have the keyboard.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it has a way better processor than me? What the heck? Now, I understand everyone listening, everyone watching on the internets, that processor technology evolves. And anytime you buy something, immediately it's out of date. Totally. However, it feels like maybe it was 6 months ago. You know what I mean? So that's, I feel like it's a dig a little bit to some recent MacBook purchasers, if you will.
It is. It's just weird branding, Yeah, you want to make people feel good about the product. Like, I'm still shopping around for Mac Studios, and that's using what, like an ancient M2 or something? It's like from 20 years ago or something, I believe. And there's a huge difference where you put these chips and how much power you supply to them. You could take the same chip and run it at half the clock cycle, half the power, and it'll run half as well, whereas you can take the same chip, put a heat sink on it, and giant fan, and just shove all the power through it that it can handle and clock that baby up. We'll never do that on the iPad. No fan. Super thin. They have a copper Apple logo now, dissipating the heat from the processor.
Smart.
I'm down for that. Cool. I want that.
That was my favorite. I think, actually, surprisingly, that may have been my favorite part of the entire event, of the underwhelming event that I was at today, watching on YouTube. That probably was. I was like, oh, that's smart. I like that. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
I was telling you, I have that app. When the app misbehaves, you find out where the microprocessor is on the phone real fast. And this is kind of the same thing. I wonder if they're actually putting the processor right behind the Apple logo and using that as a heat sink. If so, rad. I kind of want to get like some FLIR goggles and take a look at one of these iPads running my misbehaving pieces of software.
Now, beyond that, I actually think if you flip the device back over, something they mentioned, it's only available in the 1 and 2 terabyte models, is specifically the nano texture display glass option, which seemed like they should have talked about it more and then didn't. I can't even find it on the website, but
they are tying that to the storage option.
Yep.
James, that was my incredulous Apple voice. I can't believe I still have one. I can't believe I can still be incredulous toward Apple, but that's hilarious. If someone wants a diffuse iPad matte finish, whatever we call that, and they want to spend $300 extra for it, give it to them. Oh, that's funny. So you got to get the hard drive upgrade. I've never actually seen any of these micro texture. I don't have good monitors. Someday I will have a good monitor, but I don't have any micro quantum LED textured screens or anything. So I don't know if they're worth it. But I will say I'm pretty over the glossy iPad screen. So I would definitely take a look at how much one of those costs.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was pretty cool. I can't really find a lot of reference to it, like on the website and everything else. It does make it so the minimum entry price. Oh, here it is. Nanotexture glass, brilliant in any light. Nanotexture display glass is a new option that's perfect for high-end color-managed workflows for the most demanding ambient light environments. Precisely etched at a nanometer scale nanotexture glass maintains image quality and contrast while scattering ambient light for even less glare. Anytime nano is used more than 8 times in one paragraph, you know it's pretty dope. I'm just saying. Minimum entry price is $2,000 for that device. $2,000.
Jeez. Okay, this is the problem with the iPad Pro. It costs us more than a laptop. Darn.
Yeah. Now
Okay,
they did say
I guess...
they did say when you attach this to your new MacBook Magic, whatever, it can become pretty much your MacBook Pro. They basically said it. They're like, hey, that's what we're going for. We want it to replace your MacBook Pro. That's what they said. They said it.
Yeah, they're going to have to improve Springboard for that because, of course, there is a new $350 Magic Keyboard to go with it. And the Magic Keyboard has haptics in the touchpad. I believe it has aluminum, some kind of metal. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, keep it thin and light, Apple. I still feel like the Magic keyboards make them too thick still. I think that's when they get up to laptop range. And I don't think that the software can still compete with a laptop just yet. Sadly, that makes me really sad to admit that. Apple certainly spent felt like 3 or 4 days covering their movie production and audio production apps because, all we do, maybe you do, because I don't edit this podcast, but I don't edit video that much either. And I've never felt like one of those video editing people or an audio. Gosh, I'm just not a pro user because I don't make movies, James. I don't make movies, and therefore this is not a device for me, I think. And because I don't want to spend $2,000 on an iPad.
Yeah. The coolest part that they did show with Final Cut Pro, I think, is that you can connect 4 iPhones. There's a Final Cut camera. That was cool. I think that was super dope. If no, I could, because I'm in the studio.
Yeah.
No, I'm in the studio often, and like Cam and Golden Az and stuff, like Channel 9, like I could see them doing something. Now they have red cameras, so it's like they're that. But if they're on the field, imagine replacing, for example, like these big cameras with this. I thought that was really neat in real time. Again, it feels like a very niche case that they're talking to, but they are trying to talk to the pro user inside of here. So I do understand, and I mean,
sorry, but
it's not only that. They have a pencil that's pro. Everything is pro. It's a pro pencil. And so they can't even get further. Everything's
you look
pro.
up American jobs and you look up what are the top American paying professions. Movie cameraman's not one of the top professions earners. I mean, I'm sure they do well, but there's just not that many people. It's your lawyers, it's your doctors. I wanted to see more lawyer apps. I want to see more doctor apps that they're advertising. For example, they make this. That's pro. Movie producer, is that pro? I thought that was artist. I'm getting confused. What's art and what's profession these days? But
those are art professionals.
Who am I?
Those are creatives. Creatives. That's not us. We're not creative.
Yeah.
We just, no.
I'm glad they finally did give at least a shout out to the students. What they had, good notes. Is that the name of it? I feel like I'm getting old here. I'm forgetting all the note taking apps. Good notes. At least they had that because I see a lot of iPads in students' hands and they're taking notes because that's what it's really amazing at doing. So it was good that they showed those kind of things. But I think this Apple obsession with music production and video production is just the worst. So much so that they come out with this gorgeous new thin iPad, and yet it still has the camera wart on it because we still need those 1950s movie cameras on my iPad because to be a pro means you shoot video, I guess. And I just find it absurd. Take the stupid, or put a tiny little pinhole camera on it like it used to have and give me my flat surface back.
This is my problem with this event, is that I, as a consumer, as a non-creative pro, Okay. Now, I mean, I do think those Pro days harken back to the MacBook Pro with like, basically like musicians and artists like doing that. And like, that was like really where the roots were, right? That kind of elevated MacBook and this cool thing. You're a musician, you need a MacBook, right? But I think as a consumer, I'm a consumer. This event didn't feel like it was for me. And I don't know if it's like the first time. I'd have to go back, but I was watching it and I go, oh, this event doesn't feel like it's an event actually for me for these devices, because so little time was spent on devices that I would actually buy. And now I'd have to go back and watch other iPad events, but I do feel as though we got, new iPad Pro. We got a new iPad Pro Pencil. We got a new, foldable keyboard Pro device. It's all Pro, right? And I feel as though, yeah, I'm a professional. I'm a professional person that does stuff. But I felt as though the time spent on Air and the other devices and the family devices and even iPad OS didn't really feel like it was for me, because 10 minutes of the video is 38 minutes long or so, 36 minutes long. 10 minutes were on Final Cut Pro and the audio one, the audio, whatever it's called, thing. And to me, cool. I'm never going to do any of that. Like, how many people are actually doing that, to your point, compared to they demoed it for a second. They said, oh, now you can take they showed the Showtime thing where you can plug it in and it basically can become a MacBook. And did that get good all of a sudden? I don't know, but like maybe it did. Like, oh, we made this. It's so powerful that it can run blah, 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 right? Like, oh, now that would be kind of like, now we're talking Pro. Is like, for me, Pro means am I replacing my laptop? I can take this. I can take it to Frank's house, plug it in, get some real code. Oh, and they're like, hey, guess what? Also, we developed a VPN software. So you got your MacBook at home or your MacBook, and now you can use that on your, on your freaking, iPad Pro when you're on the go. You can connect back, so you can plug into Xcode and you can do your real development. Oh, here's what we also did. We enabled the iOS simulators to tunnel to your iPad Pro when it's in this mode. So you can do pro development. Like, I get it. Yeah. That's for maybe WWDC, but I'm just saying, Apple, these are free ideas. I'm just handing them out. Now that being said, like, I do agree. Or is it like, hey, you're a pro streamer, video game streamer. They talk about games a lot. Oh, well, actually, we partnered up with OBS or with Twitch Studio, and now you can stream your games. It has a pro blah 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 in it, and you can plug in an external XLR mic, and now you're a freaking streamer on this thing, because it can power everything. I'm just saying, like, there's much more than just audio video. And for me, since I'm not in that realm, because I use Camtasia and I use Audacity for audio editing, really. And now here's what I actually do is I take the audio files and I drop it into Adobe AI Podcast, magic. And now I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, literally, that's how I edit this podcast now. I don't even do anything. I'm basically useless. The AI just takes care of it in general. And then all of the AI features, they did mention AI more than ever. They kept mentioning ML, sneaky. No one wants to talk about ML. Don't do that, Apple. We only care about AI. Only AI. Everything else, get out. Okay. They did mention AI more than ever. Good on them. They did mention that, hey, we've been doing AI forever, silly kids. But, we get it. But a lot of the AI stuff they demoed, again, was only for pro features. Like, hey, you're obviously editing real-time video and you need to completely blank out the back, blah, 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 blah. I don't need to do that. Come on.
Yeah, and I like that network. I know exactly what network they're using. I was using it in my own app there. I'm like, yeah, it really does run real-time. It's really cool. Runs real-time on an M1. It just takes a little more GPU kicking. I've always said Apple's positioned themselves perfectly for AI, and I think they missed the boat last year. I didn't think they knew last year was the AI year, so we got VR instead. But I think they got the memo this year, and I think they're prepping for it. I think it's going to be a huge WWDC where they're going to light up hopefully a lot more of these features. Because one thing they announced in this M4, has more neural engines than any other iPads ever had. But one thing I've learned developing for the neural engine is Apple's not very clear about what a neural engine is these days. As far as I can tell, there's roughly like 3 different neural engines out there. each with different capabilities. There's the
Mm.
early one, there's the one that's on the iPhone, and then there's the one that's on the M series of processors. And they have different capabilities. And none of it is exposed at an API level, so it's really hard to develop for. So I get a little bit frustrated every time they're talking about like bumping up the neural engine. I'm like, good for you, Apple, but it would be nice if you would open up the neural engine so we could actually use it, A, or B, actually document the neural engine so that, again, CA, we could use it. So I get, like, the GPU we can use. GPU is easy to program, things run on it. You give us more GPU, apps benefit. You give apps more neural engine, very few apps benefit because very few of us are able to get our networks to actually run on the neural engine. And aside from that, we can't count on the neural engine because, like I said, there's just weird variations on it out there on random hardware devices. Anyway, that's my AI complaint, but at least they are checking the box for now.
Box checked. And this is a precursor to DubDub in a month. It'll be everywhere. You know, we got Google I/O, we got Build, we got DubDub. This will be more of the AI, year of AI than ever, which is,
you think so?
Fascinating. Yeah.
AI year part 2? Okay.
We are only, Frank, you know, you've been doing it for a long time. So you were like, you know, in the infants, the very infant, the very, very beginning, right? So you were barely even able to like roll your body around. Now we're still crawling. You know, we haven't even we're on our bellies crawling. We're not even like, you know, that
look at
real
it try
crawling.
to walk.
No, and we're getting there. We're nowhere close to be even standing yet, in my personal opinion, on the AI wave of things, because there's also so much learning that has to happen. There's so much new actual SDKs and APIs and infrastructure that needs to be out there. So there's lots happening, but I think this is going to be a long, you know, journey over many, many, many years. And then eventually what will happen is the things that we're talking about now will just sort of be there. You know what I mean? Like in general, all this stuff that they're talking about, of course it just does that, right? Of course it will automatically clean my, like, here's the thing. Right now, for example, I got to take my audio file, I got to drop it into a website, it's got to do something. Eventually, my Windows PC will just fix all my audio for it. And you already see that, like in Teams, there's like a few things that are in there. But eventually, everybody, there'll just be a podcast mode. It's like, oh, I see you're podcasting. In fact, it'll be so smart, Frank. It's going to say, oh, I noticed that you have a webcam on. You have a microphone. Oh, I've noticed you're podcasting right now. Interesting. Let me just make your audio awesome. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. It'll just happen. Now, we're not there yet, but we're gonna get there in the next few years. I'm very excited about that, by the way. And it'll be like the reason I buy new hardware. And I'm on the cusp. I'm like so ready to buy new hardware, but then I'm like, but I'm just going to try to make this thing last forever. And that's the problem with the iPad, right? Like when in your mind would you ever even get a new iPad Pro? You know what I'm saying? Like 10 years
exactly when I'll get it. It's when the battery stops lasting or the screen breaks or something, because that's when I replaced the last one. Apple has a real problem with the iPads because the software has kind of stagnated on it, that all these improvements to it don't matter. You can go get an M1. It'll be fine. Definitely go get an Air. If you're rich and you love OLED and nanotechnology, go get the Pro. But you know what? Air is fine. I mean, honestly, the $349 iPad is fine because they're rock solid devices. They're very mature at this point. All the good apps are going to run very well on them. So I do love all my iPad Pro upgrades. Sorry, I want to get back to AI, but I'll just finish. I love all my iPad Pro upgrades, but I probably won't be buying this one. Nope, because the old one still works absolutely just fine.
Yeah, it is the problem. I think it's the thing with my MacBook. I even, I was talking to Heather a lot about this. I was like, it'd be great to get a new M3 MacBook Air. They look beautiful, and I just can't justify my mind. It's hard. I mean, that to me is, we just did an episode, by the way, just about how we like to tinker with toys and all these things. But also a lot of times those entry entry prizes for like these little things are much cheaper. I can throw $100, $200 here, to more often to kind of tinker with things. But these are big purchases, right? When you're talking about $1,500, $2,000 for an iPad Pro, I could never imagine in my mind ever buying an iPad Pro ever. It doesn't make any sense in my life.
Yeah.
Not all, ever. That's why I think the iPad Mini made the most sense. I was like, oh, this is smaller. This is the thing. It's just like a phone, but a little bit bigger. Where but I'm only carrying it around on occasion because I don't want a bigger phone. I want a smaller phone. You know what I mean?
Okay.
In general, this is my personal opinion. They don't need to get any bigger. They barely fit in my pocket as is. Keep them small.
Well, Mini. Could you imagine if the Mini got the thin treatment? Oh, that'd be so cool.
That'd be so nice. Here's the thing that I was waiting for, Frank, talking about AI. I was waiting for them when they were demoing the Apple Pen Pro. I was waiting for them to say, and we've also put a neural chip in this that will predict. Like, I thought they were going to do some AI crap in the pen. Were you tell me you weren't waiting for? I was waiting for it because they just come up with this huge AI blitz.
No, I wasn't.
AI. I was waiting for them to be like, and what we did is we added a microphone, and you just triple tap and just ask ChatGPT anything, and it will. You hover. Here's what you do. You hover the Apple Pen Pro over a notes-taking app, and it will dictate back. It will write for you what ChatGPT could tell you. Now that's AI.
Well, the processor in the Apple Pencil Pro is more powerful than the Apollo flight computers. So
the processor in the Apple Pencil Pro, Pineapple Pen, is definitely more powerful than that Rabbit R1 or whatever. I can guarantee you. I'm shocked they weren't like, now the Apple Pen Pro powered by an M1 chip. Like, shut up, Apple. Shut up.
It only comes with 64 GBs of storage.
Entry. Don't worry. We put a 28 megapixel camera in it. Shut up, Apple. Just all you got to do is wave, and then it will take a photo. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I just
go ahead.
I have to say, I have to defend the pencil for one moment because I actually do like the silly rotation feature.
That's cool.
I could take advantage of that in my apps, but you can't, because you can't rely on someone for having a pro level pencil product as an attachment to your app. Good for you, Procreate, adding your crooked brushes. I just wanted to say that. I like the rotation feature.
It's great. I'm a big fan. Big fan of the pens. They're all good. I'm holding one in my hand if you're watching on YouTube. Not that. This is a generic pen from a winery.
What we used to
wine
call
gets
a
me.
pen.
Says
is it
wine
a pen
gets
minus?
Me.
Pen creative?
And
mini?
10th generation. Okay. Let's get back.
Events.
Let's end at the beginning, because while this was an iPad event, your beloved Vision Pro made an appearance, sir. It's all about the Vision Pro. I mean, about 30 seconds. How'd you feel?
I gotta say, this had to be the worst part of the whole thing, because they gave it the Microsoft treatment, the HoloLens treatment, which is like, yeah, consumers aren't quite figuring out what to do with this thing, but check out what a mega corporation can do in a research and development group. See what these young college graduates are doing in VR to do their engineering. And they're like, oh God, are we really doing this? Like, this has always been the bad VR commercial when they have to show corporate employees using it to design, let's face it, a car whose the whole way you design a car. Hi, I'm going to show you how a car is designed. You're an engineer, you're fresh out of college. Someone's like, design a car. You're like, great, here's a car. And they're like, no, make it cheaper. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you remove a bunch of things. They're like, no, you're not getting me. Cheaper. And then you remove a bunch of things and you make them out of plastic instead of metal. And you go to your boss, look, I made it cheaper. And they're like, no, you're not getting me, Frank. 1/10 of that price. That's how you design a car. Okay. That's how cars are designed. This is I just love I love seeing automotive people in VR designing cars, because that's not how you do it. You are cost cutting every 50-cent wire you can in that car to make it cheaper. And I just love the disconnect between Apple's Vision Pro world and how they think things are actually built. Anyway, I'm glad auto manufacturers are finding a use for it. Please download my 3D holographic video app when it's finally out there. Until then,
Here's what happened. This was an indicator to me. Now they could in a month they could flip this around. This was the first trickle that they are going to pivot the Vision Pro to an enterprise device. They're going to drop the here's the thing, they're going to drop the consumer of it. I think this is the trickle,
the HoloLens treatment. Yeah.
Which, by the way, makes more sense to me, in my opinion.
Of course. For a $3,500 device, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're in this realm, those are the things. And the HoloLens was successful in that market, and there's other VR devices and other startups that have done that, and maybe this is an indicator there. Now that they did show the auto manufacturer for which one it was. That's like, hey, we're talk about our showroom, so you can customize your device and blah blah blah, or your car or whatever, blah blah blah. But I do think a lot of the pivot seemed to be like, maybe we should talk about enterprises over here. Because, more enterprises can afford 3,500 devices than other consumers. And that's not to say that it will be exclusively for that at all. I don't think they're going to go down that path, but it's sort of a little indicator, my little tingly B2B, if you will, went off there. But that means to say that you can always then evolve the technology and then trickle it down and trim it down to a point that now it is kind of ready for consumer, and developers have had a lot more time on it. Maybe that would have made more sense. I don't know necessarily if they would have pivoted that from the original where it would be. But I'll just be really fascinated to see how the Vision and Vision Pro line evolve over the next several years. And we already know there's probably not going to be one next year. So maybe 2 years from now, we have a ways to go. But I think people need to find the use cases and need to explore it more. It's the same with VR. It's the same with the HoloLens, with all these devices. It's any new device, new form factor, right? They need to figure that out. Yeah. But I did find it interesting. That's all I'm saying.
All I'll say is cut it out, Apple. Don't do this. Don't relegate it to corporate only. You're shooting yourself in the foot. It's had a rocky start, but everyone agrees it's a fine product. It's just missing killer apps. It's missing killer experiences. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Is that the one? Don't focus on just corporate. I think that we developers, we will find you a killer app. It might take us 3 years. We'll maybe open up the APIs a little bit, let us actually program this thing and use some of its sensors. And then, maybe we can create some interesting experiences for you. So please, Apple, stop shooting yourself in your foot. Open this device up to developers. Let us access the cameras. Let us access the sensors, and we'll build you some fun things. Don't put this down the corporate avenue. I get where you're coming from, James, but I'm so tired of enterprises having VR and consumers not. No. And VR is
I'm a B2B type of guy. I'm just saying. No, it is. It definitely is in consumers. It's already in consumers. I'm just, it's an easy pivot for them to do. Yeah, Quest did great.
Yeah. So just don't admit defeat to Quest. Like, Quest is doing great with consumers. You just got to compete, Apple.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens at WWDC. So, to me, this event is my least favorite Apple event because I'm just not an iPad person. I said it up front, and I'll continue again. Just not a fan of tablet form factor. Don't need it. Don't want it. Don't need it in my life. Just an extra device, and probably you don't need it either. That's my assumption.
What are you going to read in the
any tablet? What's that?
I love my iPads. Okay, little TMI probably. My iPads don't last long because I like to read them in the bathtub, and they often don't survive the bubbles in the water.
Now that would be. I am surprised. I don't think that this is IP78,000. That'd be cool.
You want to know what I'm watching for? I'm watching for give it a high water rating, Apple. Like, I want to take this thing to the beaches. I want to keep it in the bathtub, Like, I want a waterproof Pro. Yeah, but unfortunately, Pro means you shoot videos and live in a beautiful loft in New York City.
And it never rains ever. Well, let us know what you think. This is our breakdown of it. Am I wrong? Should I love tablets? Should Franco buy a new one? Am I being too mean to the Vision Pro? Will they be enterprise? Will it be consumer? Are you going to buy a new iPad? And if you are going to buy a new iPad, what iPad are you replacing? Right into the show. You can leave a comment where you can see our beautiful faces every week at youtube.com/@mergeconflictfm. Just on YouTube. Just search for the podcast. It's in the show notes. Additionally, you can subscribe on your favorite Apple device. And additionally, if you are using Apple Podcasts, my good friend over at Tech Meme Ride Home made an interesting observation about Apple Podcasts, which is if you go right now into Apple Podcasts and you see Merge Conflict and you see a pause button in the top right, click on that and unpause it. What Apple has done is they said, hey, you haven't listened to Merge Conflict for a while. We're just going to stop auto-downloading those for you. Rude, Apple.
Very rude.
Double check all your podcasts. We're only once a month or once a week compared to Tech Me Ride Home every day. But just saying, so unpause it, give us our download numbers, archive them, listen to all of them. We appreciate it, or else we'll just continue to get destroyed in the ratings.
And stop using the Apple Podcast app. That thing's just weird. They are going to have some AI features coming up, I'll admit, that are pretty clever. Mm-hmm. Let's stop using the Apple Podcast app.
Well, about 70% of our users use the Apple Podcast.
Okay, I love you all.
Yeah, exactly.
Go try it.
That's going to do it for this week's Emerge Conflict, all you Apple Podcast users. We appreciate you. You can also be on my Patreon, patreon.com/mergeconflictfm. You get bonus episodes, these episodes early. That's going to do it for this week. So until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.